There was a time when the internet was first coming out, signs are going to be gone. No one's going to need signs. Signs is a dead industry. No one's going to need signs. Everyone's just going to go online. I'm just not so sure I believe that. I don't think I believe that at all. In fact, I think there's more ways that the sign can be augmented in order to carry the consumer to an experience that will blow everyone's mind.
Welcome back to the Reside Platform Podcast. I'm your host today, Nick McLean, one of the co-founders of the Reside Platform. Sunny Agarwal, who's been running the podcast consistently, has put out amazing content over the last couple dozen episodes. So if you haven't checked out those episodes, go back, download, and subscribe. But today's podcast, I have a very special guest. He is Monte Pratt, a third-generation branding visionary, graphic designer, and small business owner for over 35 years. He is the owner of Jack Pratt Signs. And the reason I invited Monte on this podcast is because a couple weeks ago or last week at the Reside platform, we introduced Jack Pratt Signs to all of the Reside platform team leaders so that they can get the absolute best branding and signage in their marketplace. And it reminded me of something, Monte, before I introduce you, and you give more context to your backstory, which I think is absolutely incredible. I was looking in my emails, and the first email I have with Jack Pratt Signs is from July 6th, 2012. July 6th, 2012. And the first time we ever met in person was 2 weeks ago with the Reside platform. So it's quite extraordinary to me to think that I've been working with your team going on 13 years. And without people, businesses like yours, I wouldn't be where I am today. And the reason I say that is because in 2012, I opened my team, my real estate team in Wenatchee, Washington, with nobody knew who I was. I had never sold one home in Wenatchee. I joined the MLS, started a brokerage, and started putting signs in the ground. Before I put a sign in the ground, I knew that that sign had to be the absolute best sign with the best branding possible, because I looked at my competition and it was obvious to me. The competition with the most signs and the best signs and the most recognizable signs with branding had the most sales, and they had the best agents, and they had the best training, and they had the best website. So it was like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I've just stuck with you guys for all these years. And why would a company in Wenatchee, Washington State be working with a company in Oklahoma? It doesn't make sense because there's sign companies everywhere. But this is not about signs, everybody. There's so much more to Monte and his company than signs. Signs is just the medium. So we're going to jump into probably the most overlooked but most important aspect of your business, your branding, the vision, the signs, and let's be honest, generating free leads, or generating leads and generating referrals and recognition. And so there's so much more to this. So Monte, welcome to the Reside Platform Podcast.
Appreciate it. Wonderful to be here, Nick.
So take us to the history of this Jack Pratt sign, the Jack Pratt Signs, right? You're the creative lead there, but it goes way back. And I was fascinated to hear the history.
I'll start by this. My dad always told me, Monty, don't talk shop. Nobody cares. We're just a sign company, so just don't, just keep it here. But as I got older, I realized that everyone has a story. And that story can take you and take our company to places that I never really thought. We're just a small family business in Oklahoma. And my grandfather was a bona fide artist, had a friend that worked at an ad agency in around 1948. His friend told him that their ad agency are collecting orders for well signs at oil well locations, because you're required in Oklahoma or anywhere where you drill a well to have a sign staked out at your well site, and you can be fined thousands of dollars per day if you don't. So that was his first angle into the manufacturing of signs. He'd been hand painting and screen printing signs for the local Piggly Wiggly and POP purchases around town. However, for the first 2 years that he operated with his friend for these oil well signs, he decided he would take on he would buy the material, because at that time he was just screen printing the legal description on the sign. His buddy would get the sheet metal. He would figure out how to get it painted white. He'd punch holes in it. He'd make a frame for it. And my grandfather would simply do the screen printing. until he decided, I'll buy the sheet metal. I'll figure out how to paint it white and cut it and punch it and make a frame. And they operated like that for about 10 years. And that was when my grandmother got involved. Because my granddad, he didn't care if he got paid to do what he did or not, because he loved it so much. So my grandma, Mimi, she said, no, Jack, she started making file folders for every single well sign he made. Now, on a well sign, the information on a well sign is the company name and the emergency phone number, and then the legal description that indicates where the well is located. So we basically had 10 years file folders that my grandmother made of all of the clients that the ad agency was taking orders from. And then they decided to ask if we wanted to buy their ad agency, but we said, no, thank you. We've got, unbeknownst to them, we had about a 10-year log of all of their clients. So they disbanded, and then we figured out how to make the frame a little shorter to fit easier inside the trunk of cars back in the 50s and 60s. We made them 42 inches tall as opposed to 48. That's a standard that we've been living with ever since. So from there, the local real estate community took root, and with the help of, the local Oklahoma City community, while they've had more options than you can imagine to purchase signs from, we're grateful that our clients found the value to work locally with us. But what I find to be equally as important is that we provide a quality product that we can stand behind and back up and continue to improve and make the necessary changes that go along with the times of technology, into QR codes and all of the different means to generate leads that you guys are constantly wanting. The sign has got a lot more power than it ever has before. The way people are using them now as miniature billboards has struck a chord within the agent-centric philosophy in marketing and branding.
Well, let's dive into that, because it's like you go from this oil, these oil signs where they have to be sturdy, they have to be built right, they have to last a decade or longer, to that's compliance. We just don't want to get fined, right? We just, we're not really trying to generate more business so people buy more oil, right? We're just trying to be compliant. To now we're going to the small business realm and real estate specifically, where the sign actually is a lead generator. And I want people to call it, go somewhere. There has to be a call to action. They got to want to do it. It's in front of the sign. It's branding, it's roots. So how do you advise somebody on their sign? Like say I come to you and I want to create a new sign. Mm-hmm. But knowing what how do you go through that creative process so that it actually delivers results? Sure.
Well, it all depends on the agent and mainly the brokerage that they're with. Some brokerages, they got all the creative done. And so for that type of brokerage where all the creative is done, Jack Pratt Signs is your really best bet, because we know how to make a sign that's going to outlast the life of the link that you sell real estate, which is really all you want or need in a sign. You want it to last. You want it to be affordable. It needs to be reflective of your brand, for your brokerage. There's really two different ways you can approach it. If you're with a brokerage that's all brokerage centric and all the creative is done, from a marketing and branding standpoint, there's very little left for us to do in order to increase your business beyond just a reliable, long-lasting, durable sign. The agent-centric, this is what's weird. Everything is kind of melding together, because you got the brokerage-centric offices that are bending to the agent. It's like, wait a minute, what is the identity of our brokerage? Is it all about the agent? Is it all about the brokerage identity? Is it a hybrid? Is it something that we haven't even touched on, which is the consumer-centric notion, which is more of the angle that the luxury boutique divisions, either within brokerages or straight out luxury boutique brokerages alone, they're more concerned with what they call the consumer-centric, where they tap into the feelings and emotions of the prospects. Like, for instance, it's like, oh wow, Nick, wow, oh, my house is a luxury house. You're going to put a sign out in my yard I have a luxury house. Wow, I didn't know, that's cool. And then conversely, I can afford a luxury home. In the top 5% in the county, I can. So that is what a lot of the luxury boutique, the motivations that they have from their marketing stem towards, they direct towards that consumer centric.
So we have this broker centric approach.
Right.
Is that defined as branding and brand awareness for this greater global brand that spans across the whole marketplace, multiple marketplaces nationwide, right?
Remax. I would say Remax is a great example of a brokerage centric. I got to be careful because, and I may sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it's complex. Let's just use Remax as an example. And trust me, I don't have a dog in any hunt. To each his own. All brokerages are great. They have to resonate with the individual. So what's good for one may not be good for the other. So to each his own. But there's a lot of different practices within all of the different philosophical directions you can take with your marketing and branding. And it can get overwhelming, it can be confusing, and it can lead to brand confusion. But for instance, you got big time agents that are with a Century 21 or a Coldwell Banker that for whatever reason are given the freedom and latitude to do whatever they want with their signs and their overall marketing. Shane Yarborough, Y&S Luxury Group, they're an example. There was Century 21, but they didn't want the Century 21 templated look. So it depends on your relationship with your broker. If you have that ability and freedom, and if it makes sense, if you are an icon, a staple in your community, you've been in the real estate industry for a while and you've made a name for yourself, that may or may not be the criteria where some of the brokerage centric offices will allow an agent to just do whatever they want. So I'm not really sure what the criteria is for someone that, regardless of what brokerage, because now I'm seeing Remax as allowing color group photos and group logos on their sign, in addition to the balloon, in addition to the Remax logo, in addition to the name, in addition to the phone number, in addition to the Remax affiliate name, in addition to the for sale, and all the different little icons and
it's a very
acronyms, and it can get very overwhelming. What I would suggest is start at the whiteboard and use and call us to see how you should be led and or are allowed to be led through your marketing approach to your signs.
It's funny. We start with signs, but then really quickly we see we're on a train and we're going into the tunnel and we can see the light coming our way. And the light coming our way is somewhat of a sensitive area in real estate. And as a sign company and a marketing company, you work with all the different brands. So you have to make sure that you're diplomatic in your approach. But what everyone needs to know is the brand you choose, if you're working with a brokerage, they have different rules on what the sign needs to look like, what the branding looks like, what the colors need to be, what the size needs to be. And so although that is nice to have out of the box, it is also restricting your freedoms of creativity. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, because one's convenient. The other one restricts your freedom and creativity to brand yourself. So having that relationship with that brand, the broker, the franchise, to have that freedom to go outside the box, to brand yourself, to brand your team, because we mostly talk to teams here, right, is important. Now, there's been more flexibility in the marketplace because there's more competition for teams and for agents in the agent recruiting realm. So Century 21s and these long-standing legacy brands had to adapt and allow more freedom. As an independent broker, I started out of the gate with complete freedom, right? Complete freedom to brand and do what I wanted. And so, with that came a little struggle where I had to call someone like you and actually figure this out. What do I want to look like? How do I want to brand it? So we have the brokerage centric approach, and then we have the agent centric approach. Let's dive into that. What are the pros and cons of the agent centric approach, or how do you view that? What's the goal of agent centric? And when I say agent centric, I'm thinking team centric too. A team centric approach where I'm branding and getting that out there.
Well, most importantly is what I would say most importantly is to be aware of your brand. Everyone has a brand. And just because you have a logo doesn't mean you have a brand, or even that logo, it communicates the right message of your brand. To really investigate the intricacies and details of who you are, what the feelings and emotions people experience when they see your logo. Now, that is very hard for any one person to conclude. How would you know? How would I know what you feel when you see my logo? That's it. So the way to do that, one way, is through my roadmap journey. The type of questions that need to be asked that are not very well articulated, that everyone all knows, that you have to answer for yourself, that nobody can answer for you, but you don't know what those questions are. I know those questions, and I have a curriculum that breaks down through it separates the wheat from the chaff, all the noise, all the should you do, should you not do, this guy's doing it, the pink and purple polka dotted poodle lady, all the different things of just because this individual has success in that particular niche with his brand may not make it so for you or for everyone else, because everyone is an individual. Everyone has a distinctive brand. You need to be careful with the brokerage that you are affiliated yourself if you want to co-brand yourself with your brokerage. For instance, Kelly Green, that's her name, Kelly Green. She was with Keller Williams, may still be, obviously had a green logo, dark green logo. Now, on the record, Keller Williams Signs has a minimum of 33% red requirement on their sign, on the record. So what do you think happens when you take a preponderance of a green logo and white and red? What happens?
Confusion, or
No,
you got a red and green sign.
Worse, Christmas.
Yeah, you're right. And everyone's familiar with those colors.
Oh, right. So you really have to, well, this is where my creative proclivity comes and kicks in, because I can see that type of thing from a mile away, knowing that you have the freedom to do what you need to do with your client. Like, that's the first question I ask, is how much creative freedom do I have? Ultimately, the white tabla rosa, clean slate, no templates, not when you're into the agent-centric to try to pigeonhole your photo here and the for sale here and all the other information that's already pre-designed. No. There is a right way and a wrong way, and there very well may be my way, but there's definitely a wrong way. When people say that just looks too cluttered or that looks too busy, what they're saying is every inch of that yard sign is covered with graphics, and my eyeballs are confused and don't know where to look and focus. So less is more. Photos are not timeless. Logos are timeless. And a harmony, a balance of your brand and the brokerage that you're on the shoulders of, so to speak. So I never go into a project knowing exactly what I want to do. Where the creative process is going to take us, I have no idea. And that's part of the thrill and fun, coupled with the freedom that I have in order to even take apart someone's logo. That's just, I don't know, fundamentally wrong in one way or shape, form that I would see. And those are the projects that I really enjoy working with, is someone that knows their lane and there's a trust factor, because a lot of people are like, wait, you want me to pay you to do my branding before I've seen anything? It's like, yeah, kinda. I want you to be participating with me through the process. Don't give me a bunch of litany, a list of what you think you might want things to look like. You got to dive in head first into the process. And I'm the first one to surprise myself when things come out that I had no idea where they come from. And I can't take all of the credit. It's always usually due to the person that I'm working with. We all have individual minds, and we all look at creative obstacles differently. So to get feedback I love feedback, and you're not going to hurt my feelings. There's times where people are like, I'm just not feeling that at all. And like my grandfather, what he would do is he would take the paper that he was drafting and crumple it up, throw it in the trash, get another piece of paper out, and just start all over again. He and I are torn out of the same piece of cloth. It's not that I don't care if I get paid to do what it is I do. I do. I don't. I do, but I don't. I do, but I don't. I'm fortunate and blessed to have the ability to take on the type of responsibility to help grow your business, and to hear you say that the signs are as crucial of a element to your lead gen, to your lead conversions, and everything with regards to leads. There was a time when the internet was first coming out, the signs are going to be gone. No one's going to need signs. Signs is a dead industry. No one's going to need signs. Everyone's just going to go online. I'm just not so sure I believe that. I don't think I believe that at all. In fact, I think there's more ways that the sign can be augmented in order to carry the consumer to an experience that will blow everyone's mind. And I would really, the idea of having a test pilot product exclusively for Reside members, that's something that it's an idea that it's possessed me. I don't, you don't have ideas. Ideas have you. And this one I can't get rid of. But with the integration of the text to lead and the QR code, where it launches an experience and where you can take your client, I believe that the yard sign is at the precipice of something really great.
Yeah, and also here's the beautiful thing. Let's talk about we're going to talk about technology, because you don't think about signs as technology, but you introduce text to lead. You also introduce QR codes. But let's take people on the journey. If you think about the consumer journey, the client journey, they're oftentimes using an application already installed that they installed on their phone. Let's call it Zillow, for instance. Zillow is going to take you, with Google Maps, is going to take you directly to the property. So you see it online, you see it on your app, and you're going to drive to this house. When you arrive at the house, the sign is X marks the spot. It shows, oh yeah, I guess I made it to the right place. So now the consumer's there. Who owns the consumer at this point? Who owns that relationship? I would argue Zillow has the relationship. So the sign is your first introduction to this potential consumer who can become your client. So can you bridge that gap? Can you get them off of their behavior into your world? Can you take them from the Zillow world to your world? I mean, that's in a leap to make. But if I think the sign is the thing that can do that, if done right.
The question is should technology be integrated? And I'm talking hardware. Should computer hardware and technology be integrated physically into the yard sign? Now, that's an honest question.
Should it? Will it? Or has it already been installed?
My first answer is hell no. Y'all don't want to pay for what you already got to pay for when it comes to these signs. And I get it. This is the future of the sign, in my opinion. Whether an NFC tag is embedded into it, that could make a sign tappable, whether the QR code takes them onto a journey. As it is now, the best use of technology integrated into the yard sign, in my opinion, is the text to lead feature. Best, far, hands down. Why? Because when someone interacts with it, you get notified immediately. You get their phone number and you sink your proverbial claws into them immediately. QR codes, when they first got launched, it was like a stain, and people had impunity towards the QR code because there was no lead capture. It was like, hold on, you got 100 scans. Nice work. How many of those are you going to convert? 0. So now we're through COVID. We all understand the camera app is built in. Everyone knows how and what to do when you see the QR code. Should a sign have hardware integrated? Again, my answer at this point is probably maybe. I'm not going to say no or yes, because this is something, as I said, at the precipice. And I have a vision that would integrate the Zillow experience. Let's just say mile high view. This would be the experience. You have, call it a smart dot, a polycarbonate crystal colorless marker in the yard. Got a low level blue light, subtle blue hue with a little Wi-Fi signal printed on it. And you're close enough to where you can scan it, scan the QR code, or let's just say an NFC tag that you could make the marker tappable. What then? There's a little thing called AR, augmented reality. How about you tap a sign and it launches an experience that takes you through a 3D tour of the house, and every intricacy detail that you could possibly, that would be triggered from the sign, from the marker, but to here, to your phone. What what I believe is to be the future of it. Because of COVID, that was a huge breakthrough for the use of technology and opening the door for QR codes to generate journeys. When you scan the QR code, you can lead the client towards whatever kind of an experience you want to take them through. I am not the experienced guy on how and where you should take your prospects on trying to sell them or get them to list with you. I just want to be the bridge to get that happening. So say you're on Zillow and you're scanning and you see a blue dot that would indicate, I think on Zillow you have the ability, I think they call it, where you could just buy it, like instant sales, or is that right? You
Make an offer, sure.
instant offer, that's it, instant offer. Something in that realm, I want to buy a smart dot and get my house put on this platform, and wow, it's here. I'll go put my thing in the ground, turn it on, and when someone gets online, it notifies it that that is an instant listing that is synced up to the smart marker. So again, I'm committing the worst crime right now, which is disclosing all of what my ideas are. And trust me, I've got a lot of them. With regards to separating the wheat from the chaff, a lot of wheat. There's a lot of chaff, and there's some nuggets of really good, valuable ways to increase your business. I think that would be helpful for everyone, especially the consumer.
Well, if you think about the consumer, to take us back to the present moment and really evaluate your sign in the yard. And listings over the last 5 years have become scarce. Supply has consistently gone down. So the recency bias over signs is neither here nor there because they're not in the ground for very long. So what's the purpose of the sign? What's the value of the sign if it's never there? But I'm telling you right now, if you note in the time and space we're in now in 2025, there's marketplaces where supply is increasing. And when supply is increasing, you need more signs. And you just don't need more signs. The signs are in the ground longer, which is actually a huge opportunity. You get free marketing for longer. And so agents are freaking out over how can I get price reductions? How can I price them right? I don't want to take a listing unless it sells, right? You have to understand, you need to grab market share signs in the ground. But one thing on the consumer I want to talk about with you is we always think the consumer-centric approach is the buyer. But isn't the consumer-centric approach also the client you already have that has to drive by your sign every day to go home and drive into their garage? And that represents the quality of your service because you don't talk to them every day, but your sign talks to them every day. So if you want to lose a listing, let it fall over. Let a bird doo-doo on it and not clean it up. Let the flyer box go empty. They will fire you. They will assume that if you don't have an attention to detail on your sign, you don't have attention to detail on anything else. And if it's cluttered and it's confusing, they're going to be confused on why they hired you in the first place. Can you speak to that? Is that true, or am I just imagining this?
No, your sign, and see, I get in trouble when I say this because I'm accused of being biased, but your sign should reflect the quality of not only the listing, but also the quality of the service that you provide.
And you mentioned high-end luxury. Have you seen that work in the real world? You work with some of the top teams, brokerages, brands in the world, right? Is this worth exploring, having a standard sign, a high-end luxury sign, and then it's different based on the price points, or how do you model that?
Back in around 1996, 97, a friend of mine told me, "Money, you need to make a high-end sign." I was like, "Brian, they don't want to pay for what they already got." No. What do you mean a high-end sign? I knew exactly what he meant. There was a neighborhood in Oklahoma City, one of the most premier areas, called Gaillardia. Now, when they built Gaillardia, they put into the HOA, get your sign from Jack Pratt. They've got the specs. It's going to have the Gaillardia logo, and then you can co-brand it here and blah, blah, blah. Jack Pratt's got it. But get your frame from this other outfit, and they're $300. And it's a square tube frame with a decorative round ball finial on each top of the leg. It's got a rider spot at the top. It's got a main panel in the middle, and it's got another rider spot at the bottom. and the unit stands about 6 feet high. And no bones about it. If you're a builder or a realtor or whatever, you're going to put a yard sign on one of these 10,000 square foot homes in Gaillardia, you're not going to use one of those junky angle iron frames. And you're surely not going to use the post that a sign swings and blows in Oklahoma. You just don't see them where the wind comes sweeping down the plane. Right. You've heard that before. So permanently affixed sign into a 2-legged frame, square tube frame. And my working foreman, James, he said, Monty, I can make that. And I was like, well, what do you need? And he said, I need material and a chop saw. I said, well, how much is a chop saw? And he said, about $50. I was like, well, here's my credit card. Go get it and go order it and go make one. Mm-hmm. And he did. And he made it just a little bit bigger. We make and we call it our premier frame. And there's been a lot of ripoffs on it. And we didn't start it. We just ran with it. And we pushed the competition out. I was selling them for $300 and we started selling them for $80. Literally cut the knees right out from under them. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but you're getting into my wheelhouse there, buddy. Yeah. So he's gone. And the premier frame took off like wildfire. Rose Creek, Tom Hodkin, the proprietor, the developer, the originator of Rose Creek Link Style Golf Course in Oklahoma City and Edmond. He got 2 trucks loaded up, both of his trucks full of yard sign angle iron frames, and put them in his car, in his truck, loaded them up to our place and said, take these all down to the junk. We're going to do what Gaillardia did, and we need you to help me. And I was like, this is a phenomenal idea, wonderful idea, great idea. And then Villaggio, right behind them, they started. So it's not me twisting my mustache on how can I disrupt the sign industry and make a premier frame unit. And it's none of that. It's listening to my clients. It's listening to people like you saying, we need this and we want this, or we're required to have it. And so with regards to a higher end sign, there's definitely an argument that can be made for your upper end, your $1 million listings, your 5% in the county listings. It definitely won't hurt to invest a little bit more in your image, your brand, your yard sign with that premier unit. Now we've also figured out a way. It's like everyone wants that look, that big bulky look, but they don't want to haul around a 10-foot unit or have someone to go put it in. Or if you have an installer, even better. But some people don't want to have an installer. We can cut the legs off, and you can easily put T-posts in the ground. And because it's a tube frame, you stick the T-posts in the ground equal distance of each leg, and you literally just slide the tube frame over the T-posts, and it rests nice on the ground. You don't have to dig any holes. So it achieves the look that you want. It gives the impression to the prospects that you're a serious realtor and interested and invested in not only your own brand, but into this listing to the extent that you've put this beautiful sign. Now, am I going to say that a premier sign is going to cause more lead conversions than a traditional angle iron sign? No, I'm not going to say that. I think that if I did make that claim, I'd need to be locked up, obviously in the tank trying to sell something. But I can say that the likes of what Gaillardia, Rose Creek, and Villaggio, and all the other clients that we've fulfilled doing those types of heavy duty premier frames, by the way, they're not $80 anymore. They're up. Mm-hmm. It's simply me responding to the market. What do you want? What do you not want? What are you willing to pay for? What makes no sense at all? And to take those that don't make any sense and to kill it like a dog with rabies behind the barn and be rid of it, which in most cases like sacrificing one of my children. But
well, you have to think about it. If you want to make more money in real estate as a real estate team, Nick, they come to me, Nick, I want to join the Reside platform. I want to coach with you. I want to make more money. Ultimately, that's what they want to do. More money for more freedom, right? By the end of the day, they want more money, more profit. It's the goal of running a business. Okay, great. Awesome. You can sell more homes. Well, how do you sell more homes? Well, you get more leads, you buy more leads, generate more leads, get more agents. Okay, great. That's easy. You can increase your price if maybe you're undercharging, or maybe you can add value to increase your price. Commissions. Oh, Nick, you can't do that. Okay, great. There's another option. You can sell higher priced homes. Higher priced homes. Are there? Well, Nick, in my marketplace, the average, it's not like where you're at. It's not like I'm in LA or Orange County or New York. I'm in Oklahoma or Iowa. The average sales price in my area is $220,000. Easy for you to say. Of course, you can afford it. Oh, interesting. When I started my brokerage and I called Jack Pratt, my average sales price was $120,000. But the question is not what's the average. The question is, are there areas in your marketplace with high priced homes? And I haven't found a community in the United States that doesn't have that golf course, that resort community, that gated community. There are wealthy people everywhere, even in Oklahoma City in 1996.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not. So it's like, okay, well, how do you do that? How do I get those listings? Well, all you got to do is get one. You get one and you do whatever you can on God's green earth to get one. And you know what? You put the very best sign you can get. And you do the very best marketing. And maybe you lose money, right? Maybe you get a $20,000 check, but you reinvest all of it because you're showcasing what you're about. And I'm telling you, Monty, I was like, when you talked about that sign, I remember calling your company in 2014, so 11 years ago. And I was like, I kept getting complaints or feedback. That's a better way to put it. Feedback from my own clients. Nick, nobody can see your sign. Nick, can you go install a second sign, a third sign, a fourth sign? And I'm thinking, oh man, do you really think it's the sign that's not selling this home? It's the price. But I kept getting that. And so then I'm like, you know what? I don't want that anymore. So I called your company up. I said, what's the biggest sign you make? The biggest sign you make. And I did, I should have got these posts you're talking about because that sounds amazing. But you had a 2x3 sign. I think it was a 2x3 sign. It was this massive sign. It was like 6 feet tall, angle iron sign. I remember. And it barely fit in my car to deliver it to the, then you have a problem of installation. But it was a massive sign and it was legal in the ordinance. And so it was undeniable that I had the biggest sign and bigger is better. And it was one of the best investments I ever had. So I had to tell you that story. Long way to get through that story is like a big sign. What's the biggest sign you can do?
What about a great big QR code? Forward street facing. That's the way it always starts. When someone's like, just real quick with regards to QR codes.
You mentioned this other day, and I think
I did, and now I don't know if I want to get into it because it's really long.
Well, that's part of the reason I invited you on here because I thought, whoa, that was good.
Invest the money and get into a platform. I use flowcode.com. Now I'm trying to get to be an affiliate with them. They've denied me, but I'm not giving up on them, and I'm not holding it against them either. They have a proclivity towards design that obviously resonates with me. They also have journeys and landing pages and everything that you would want and need for taking your prospect on the type of experience and journey you want them to go on. Again, I'm not that guy. I would love a think tank collaborative environment and what experience would be just the best thing for prospects, but I'm a little out of my depth there. The QR code, I printed a great big 3-foot diameter QR code.
Is that like a square 3x3?
It's 3-foot diameter circle.
Diamond. Oh.
Just the idea of it sitting in front of a house where someone could just boom, hit it. Because if, the QR code on a yard sign, it makes sense. It's got to be big enough where you can get a good scan.
But it also takes away from, I find it takes away from the sign and the design sometimes.
It can do that. That again, that's my problem on how to incorporate it.
You put it on a sign writer and then the sign writer is so small, it's like.
Exactly.
What's the point?
There can be a way by not using a preponderance of information. Less is more. More just gets more clunky, cluttered. So,
but let's talk about this. Let's talk about this 3-foot diameter QR code.
Well, all right.
Forward facing. It faces the street, not sideways, and so that someone can drive up and just easily, effectively click it or take a photo of it. Now, this is corrugated plastic, so that the wind's gonna pick it up and take it to Timbuktu.
Yeah, if you don't have it staked in the ground. Yeah, there's lots of different ways, and I haven't really horned in on what is the next revolution in yard signs with regards to lead conversions. Because that's really all that realtors care about is is conversions. We all need leads. You need to get leads, but we want to convert those leads. How can you get your leads converted to sales to get on to the next one? If there is any way, shape, or form that a yard sign could be a catalyst to encourage that journey, I want to be part of that. That's really all I got to say about it.
The lead capture is wherever you send them at this point, right? I mean, because QR codes, there may be technology where they're going to capture the devices. That's why text to lead is the best, because you actually know their phone number immediately and you can call them back, just like a sign. But the QR code, you got to send them to a landing page of some point. And that landing page needs to have some type of registration or opt-in, either forced or sequential opt-in. You know, I like nosy neighbors. I've always wanted nosy neighbors. So finding out the home valuation site, find out what your home's worth online is an opportunity. If you have a home to sell before you buy this one, you want to know that information. I don't know if they'll do it in front of someone's sign, but they might. The neighbors might do it. That's worth trying in my area.
With regards to the biggest complaint, I think the catalyst that initially killed the QR code in its first infancy was that in order to get any information from a prospect from your QR code, you got to get them to take action and give up some of their information.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to do that, no matter how. But I mean, I don't know. And this is a question, and this is an honest question. That what I just said is kind of an old style thinking 8-10 years ago, before the QR code, before anyone even knew what it was. When it first hit, I was talking on stage at a rain camp in 2011 or 09. I can't, it's somewhere around there. And the QR code had just come out. And of course, at that time, there were just a handful of people that were jumping up and down stiff-legged, thinking this is the next best thing since sliced bread. On his face, yeah. Oh, wow, I can scan that and get, wow, cool. But it compared to what? Compared to the already tech-enabled text to lead. That is what it, and at the time, the text to lead was really gaining traction and was killing it, still killing it, is the best form of lead capture from a yard sign. No question. So trying to make a horse race out of the QR code is that's what it kind of feels like. I'm trying to make a racehorse out of this. I don't want to make a racehorse out of anything. I want to find Secretariat, and I don't want to bet the bank on. I want to bet the bank on them. I'm not quite sure we've found it. I think we're getting closer. This is kind of a sideshow from the whole Jack Pratt experience, because fundamentally we're a sign company dedicated to long-lasting, beautiful printed graphics, preserving your brand and your identity. And now we're talking about QR codes and lead capturing. It's like, what's going on, Monty? Where are you?
I like the text to lead. You make a good point. It's like,
but there were the QR code was a threat, if you want to know the truth, to one company in particular. I don't need to call them out by name, but it's the same company that you're using for your text to lead, right? So the pushback that I was getting was from the likes of Chad Himes and Ben Kinney, and I can understand the motivations of people saying this text to lead, this is it, because it is. And this QR code, wait. Oh, okay, yeah, kind of cool, whatever. But no. We're here talking about selling real estate, lead gen, lead conversion. What does that have to do with yard signs? It has everything to do with what's printed on the yard sign. If you're going to print a text to lead, that's wonderful. If you're going to print a QR code, you got to do it the right way. I believe, it's a turnoff when someone hits it and it's like, well, I got to put my name in. I got to give my phone number or my email. No, bye. That is, I would say, 90% of the experience you can expect from anyone when you put your QR code out there. But I do believe that the public is making that turn where, again, it's because of COVID, that they're more comfortable. Are you going to be leery by going to a restaurant and seeing the QR code on your table as the menu. No, you're going to pick up your phone and you're going to scan it and you're not going to think twice about it. Unless you're a real heavy duty tech guy that knows the intricacies of what that is. And plus I've heard that what information can be extrapolated from even the text to lead might be enough to discourage anyone from ever using it. But I don't want to make any of those claims. Nothing's foolproof and nothing is 100%. So the text to lead can't give you an experience through a journey that you might want to go through to get the results of the house that you're interested in. It's making an assumption upon the vast general community that, frankly, we just can't make that determination except for what we already know to be true for ourselves, which is when I scan a QR code, I don't want to give them any information. I want the information given to me for free. With time, I believe the QR code integration can lead people through a secure, valuable experience, but still all you really want is just to get your claws into the people that's interested in your listings. And the best way right now is the text to lead. So it sounds like I'm just talking all over the place. But again, these are important issues that need to be addressed and need to be addressed by people that know what the industry affords, how people should use the technology, and be realistic with what to expect. So I don't have any magic sauce. I just got the medium, as you put it, very well put, to carry the experience to generate more leads and hopefully more conversions.
Well, at the very least of this conversation, Monty, I think it's opening the eyes to everyone here, everyone listening, as a broker owner, team leader, or agent, that you need to reevaluate your sign because it's more than just a sign. And let's get away from the future of signs and the technology of signs and make sure that we're majoring in major things. And that's the brand, that's the quality, that's who you are and what you represent in that neighborhood that you want to do more business in. Like taking a listing that you don't want to do more business in doesn't make a lot of sense. You have to understand that. And so you're building roots. You're like I said, if there's areas you want to work in, you need to do everything you can to get your sign in someone's yard. Selling a buyer a home in that neighborhood's great, and you're going to make a little bit of money, but you're not actually going to gain market share in that neighborhood until that buyer that you sold the home to calls you back and tells you to list it. And 90% of people don't even follow up with their clients. So you're really playing the long game if you're buying buyer leads trying to tap into a certain marketplace. If you want to tap into the marketplace, you got to get your sign in the yard, and it has to be a banger sign. It has to be awesome. So, Monty, it's been a pleasure. I think people need to reach out to you. In the show notes, we're going to have the link to Jack Pratt. Definitely go there. Is there a better way to reach you guys? Ask for a consultation, ask for a discovery call. What's the next step to get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, I'm easy to get in touch with. jackpratt.com. That's my website. And I'm Monty at jackpratt.com. Monty with an A.
You have an amazing team there. And I think you probably have some consultation or some level of introduction. Is that safe to assume? What's the experience like? When they go to Jack Pratt, what's the experience? What do they click on? Where should they go?
The brand discovery, the free consultation, they range from I just need some stock riders to I'm completely new and have no idea what I'm doing. So I welcome all ranges, all brokerages, independents. If you have a love and a passion for real estate and are wanting to make it a career and to take what is yours in the real estate community, come out of the gate like a banshee with the right proper marketing done the right way the first time, where you don't have to keep tweaking it and making it changes. And you don't have that time or luxury. The best way is to do things in real time. Screen share through live design, where you can see the results come before you, right before your eyes, and have your results delivered inside an hour and a half. That is what I would recommend. Reach out, sign up for a free consultation so that I can get a feel for where you are. The last thing I really want to say is, with regards to all of this, I forgot to mention it. You want to integrate your yard signs with your CRM. Now, how that is done through the text to lead or through even QR codes, as a good boy, I finally got a CRM. Yay, money. I didn't want to be that guy that was like, hello, you need signs? You need signs? Hey, you need signs? Hey, I'm the sign guy. But you know what? I'm over myself. And I may not be that irritating. I'm sorry, that was a little over the top, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
The integration of the of your text to lead to your CRM, where you get your technology working for you, that's something that really needs to be communicated more, because it's not just a QR code. It's not just the text to lead. It's what happens step after step after step and how you go through it. Now, that's something that you would probably be more of an expert in. But
same with your phone. Your phone number should be tied into your CRM. So that phone number, if they call it or they text it, it populates into your CRM. I mean, we do that through Follow Up Boss at Reside, which if they call the sign number, it's a specific number for signs only, so they know exactly what they do. You know, I have a dozen different phone numbers for different marketing sources. You know, putting you're not very sophisticated having, I mean, maybe it's simple, one number for everything, but then what are you doing? What are you really doing here? And I think it says something, and I want to end it with this, Monty, because you and I can talk forever about real estate and branding. Is what does it say about you that you're hesitant to spend money on something that's going to last a decade, but you don't hesitate on buying a lead that's going to last 2 weeks?
Well,
what does it say? How's that say? What's the vision for your career?
That's a great question. I would like to address that. You're familiar with the chicken and the egg. And so you've been hinting on this. Do you not have enough listings because you don't have the signs for them? Or do you not have, no. What is the chicken? I just saw the founder, Michael Keaton, playing Ray Kroc. Great movie.
Yeah, great.
But
awesome.
The idea is he was selling the multi-mixers. Do you not sell enough multi-mixers because you don't have the 5-spindle multi-mixer? Or what you increase the supply and the demand will follow. That is what his rationale was. That's really risky. I'm not so sure that I would say everyone just needs to go out and buy 50 yard signs so that those 50 listings will come. But I don't know, man. If you spent the money to put out 50 yard signs, you might figure out a way to get them out into some yards.
Oh, and the other thing about it is you can buy 50 leads for the same amount of money, and it's going to populate in your CRM, and you're going to forget about them because they're not visible. They're not in your face every single day. I mentioned this when you were doing a private event for the Reside clients. I've never bought a bulk load of signs and not used them. And I've always ordered them before I need them. So I call you up and I'm like, Shannon, 25, 50 more signs. And this isn't because they worn out. It's like, no, I'm showing my team I have 50 signs. Get out there and let's go find people to put them in their yards. Right. And you can see, it's almost like a goal. You can see the throughput. You can see the drive down of those signs. It's just different ways for money. We got to go. You got to sell signs, help clients. I got to sell homes and help clients sell more homes. So it's been a pleasure. To be continued. It's been a pleasure. I'm really grateful to have finally met you in person. I think you're brilliant. I don't think people realize the value and the wealth of information and resource that you have for them, but they will soon. They will really soon. So I hope you like this episode. If you like this episode, go back and download all the others before. There's amazing people on there, and we're going to continue to put out amazing content, the Reside platform, and hopefully someday we'll do business together in some fashion in this industry. All right, Monty, take care.